Hey, what's up everyone? Just wanted to say welcome back to the Real Estate Advance YouTube channel. And if this is your first time watching one of my videos, gonna ask you guys to take a few seconds and hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified whenever I drop a new video, okay? And what I wanted to do today was talk about phase 2 of the home buying process. Now, if you watched my video from last week, you would know that I talked about meeting with an agent, going over some of the paperwork and what happens once you go into contract. One of those things that I mentioned after going under contract, you will enter into what we call the due diligence period. And if you remember from last week's video, the due diligence period is about 21 days where I like to call you going go-go gadget on your property, okay? Now, exactly what does that mean? Essentially what going go-go gadget on the property means is that you're gonna go and you're gonna do all your inspections, and basically you're just making sure that when you buy this property, you don't walk home and find any unexpected surprises, okay? So once you go into the due diligence period, at bare minimum, there will be 3 things that you will do, okay? You're gonna have the home appraised, you're going to have an inspection, and depending on the type of property, you'll have a survey done, okay? And I'll start with the survey first. What the survey does, the survey basically tells you what your left and your right limits are as far as your yard, okay? Because what you don't want to happen is you buy a home and then you move in and your neighbor come over and says, hey, your driveway is on my property. I need you to get it off my property. And you're legally bound to get that driveway off of his or her property, or you're going to get fined by the city, okay? So a survey will let you know if what's supposed to be your property is on your property and whether or not your property is bleeding over into someone else's property or vice versa, okay? Another thing you will get done will be the appraisal. Now, the appraisal is ordered from the bank, and what will happen, they'll come out, and it's basically just an assessment of how much your house is worth, okay? Now, it's a little bit of a process, and I won't go into exactly what they do. Maybe I'll make that for another video. But let's say we go on a contract on a property for $300,000, and the appraiser comes back, and he says, hey, this property is worth $320,000. Congratulations, you now have $20,000 in home equity. But conversely, we take that same $300,000 property, and now let's say the appraiser comes back and says, hey, this home is only worth $290,000. All right, now we kind of got a little issue right here, okay? Because the bank will only finance the lesser of the 2 amounts, whether it be the contract price or whether it be the appraisal price. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the sellers and we're going to tell the sellers, hey, the appraisal came in less than what the agreed upon contract price was, and we're going to ask you to come down to the appraisal price. Okay, now the sellers, they'll say, you know what, no problem, we'll come down to the appraisal price, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to ask for the appraisal as proof that it's worth less than the contract price, and that's perfectly normal. But most sellers will agree, in my personal experience, most sellers will agree to come down to the appraisal price. However, sometimes they won't, and they're more within their right to do so. And if they choose not to come down to the appraisal price, or if they are willing to come down some but not fully, it's on you as the buyer to decide or to determine what it is that you want to do. And like I said in my last video, a lot of things in real estate, they are negotiable. So if you guys can somewhere meet in the middle where you pay some of it, the seller pays some of it, you can do that. Ideally, you would want the seller come all the way down to the appraisal price, but I only say that because sometimes that happens, all right? Now, one of the other things that you will do will be you will have a general inspection, okay? And the inspector, he's going to come out, he or she will come out and just let you know what all is maybe areas of concern on the property, you know, like broken windows or busted pipe, maybe a weak floorboard, maybe some water damage, you know, stuff like that. And then once the inspector has done his job, he'll compile the report together. We will go over the report together, and you'll let me know some of the things that you will want the seller to address, okay, as far as repairs or having to replace anything. And as I've always said, everything in North Carolina is essentially negotiable. So we'll type up a list, we'll send it over to the seller, and the seller will say, okay, we'll fix this stuff, we're not going to fix that stuff, we'll do this, we're not going to do that. As long as their answer is satisfactory to you as the buyer, we'll continue to go forward. They'll make the repairs, they'll show proof of making the repairs, and then we'll continue to move forward with the home buying process. However, if there are some things that the seller says that he or she will or will not do that is not acceptable for you, once again, it becomes a negotiation, and we try and get to a point to where all sides are in agreement with the repair process, okay? Now, also, when if you're looking at my screen, you see that there are other options as far as inspection. When you get that general inspection done, that general inspector will kind of let you know if you need other things done, such as having an HVAC looked at, or maybe radon, or anything of that nature, okay? But bare minimum, you'll get a survey done, you'll get an inspection, and you'll get an appraisal. And let me throw in there, when it comes to new construction, as well as you possibly buying a condo. With a condo, you're probably not going to get a survey done, okay, for obvious reasons, okay? But if you get new construction done, they're going to do their survey, so you should get one with the purchase of the property, okay? Now, also during this period, there's two other things that will be happening, okay? The first thing, your pre-approval will now go into underwriting if it hasn't been in the underwriting already, and essentially what this means is it's the bank securing your loan, okay? So they're going to ask you for a ton of documents, and every time the bank asks you for a document, I always like to tell my clients to create a folder on your laptop and put those documents over there, because a lot of times the bank, they're going to ask you for the same piece of paperwork again, and I don't say that to shade the banks in any way, but in my experience, it's just what I've seen. So just put them on your laptop somewhere in their own personal folder. That way, if and when they ask you a second time, you just go right on ahead and give it to them, all right? And then also, the attorney that's involved in the situation, the attorney will be doing their own background search or title search, depending on where you're from, on the property. And essentially, they're just looking to make sure there are no liens on the property, there are no encumbrances on the property, or there are any other unexpected surprises, okay? And again, I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not, okay? So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with Phase 3. Thanks.